Guys, today we're going to be talking about MK-677, also known as ibutamoren, why I won't use it personally. We're going to get into what is it to begin with. We're going to get into the pulse pattern and why I won't use it. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it. So, MK-677, also known as ibutamoren, what is it? MK-677 is an oral growth hormone secretagogue. It is misclassified as a SARM, but that could not be further from the truth. MK-677 is basically, if you want to understand what it is, like as easy, as simple as possible, MK-677 is basically almost an identical copy of the hormone ghrelin, which the body naturally produces. So, if we go in and we talk about peptides, there's a lot of peptides that have been based off of ghrelin that's secreted by the hormone that's secreted by the stomach in terms of fasting and hunger. But there are many peptides which are more of derivatives. They have different effects. They're more honed down. They're more specialized peptides. Well, in the case of MK-677, also known as ibutamoren, MK-677 is, I would argue, pretty much not a derivative. MK-677 is basically almost pretty much an exact synthetic copy of the natural hormone ghrelin that's found in the human body. And this has pros and cons with it, which we're going to get into. And for those of you that don't know what ghrelin is, basically ghrelin is a hormone that's secreted by the cells of the stomach in response to either fasting or also when the stomach has been empty for periods of time. So, stomach emptying. Anyways, guys, that's what MK-677 is, except it is able to be taken orally, okay, instead of most peptides, which you have to inject to bypass the oral ingestion route. Also, has a half-life right around 24 hours. So, that's what MK-677, ibutamoren is. Let's get into the pulse pattern and why this is important. So, pulse pattern with MK-677. If you were to take an HGH peptide, releasing peptide, think GHRP6, GHRP2, hexarelin, which is the most powerful, but it also arguably can desensitize rather fast. Or if you take ipamorelin, which is probably the best bang per buck. They also have this available at Prometheus Health with prescription, by the way. But you have, GHRP6, GHRP2, hexarelin, ipamorelin. You have all of these growth hormone releasing peptides, which are based off of ghrelin. GHRP6 being the closest copy to synthetic, or being the closest copy to your body's natural ghrelin. And MK-677 is, again, almost pretty much an exact replica of natural ghrelin. So, the pulse pattern. Pulses vary based on ghrelin. Different peptides have different pulse patterns. Some half-lives are shorter, longer. Some have a really big pulse, some have a shorter pulse. But in the case with the oral growth hormone secretagogue, MK-677, it's a little bit different than, it's quite a bit different than any peptides such as GHRP6, 2, hexarelin, or ipamorelin. MK-677, since it's an oral secretagogue, the number one distinguishing factor is its long half-life. So, in the human body, MK-677 does not act like GHRP6 or like GHRP2. It is more of, I would call, a hybrid. Some people have called it that before. I would agree with them. So MK-677, when taken, especially in larger dosages, you still get a growth hormone pulse, kind of a longer pulse, a little bit slower release, but you still get a pulse. So if you take MK-677, you're going to get a pulse. Boom. Just like you would with GHRP6 or 2 or even hexarelin, you'll get a pulse. But the pulse is going to be less steep. It's not going to be as much of a shotgun pulse as we could call it. It's not going to be as big of a pulse, but it's going to be a slower pulse. So not only are you going to get a pulse with MK-677, but once that pulse starts to wear off, it's going to amplify other After the pituitary resets, it's going to amplify other natural occurring pulses. You have anywhere from, I believe the number was 10 to, is it 10 to 16? Was it 8 to 12? Anyway, you have somewhere in the ballpark of 10, I'm just going to say 10 to 20 in a normal, healthy, 18 to 30-year-old male. You should have about, 10 to 20 natural growth hormone pulses throughout the day, okay? So with MK-677, not only you're going to get a pulse, an initial pulse, but then once that pulse wears off and the pituitary resets, so to speak, then it's going to also amplify your body's natural pulses. So it's a hybrid, okay? Some growth hormone releasing hormones. We could talk about CJC, NODAC. We could talk about Simorelin, but some amplify your body's natural pulses, and some create pulses. MK-677, just because the half-life's so long, you're going to get a hybrid pulse where you get an initial, we'll call it a slow pulse. You get an initial slow pulse, and then it's going to, since it has a long half-life, amplify other natural occurring pulses in the human body. So let's get into the summary of this video. Why won't I use it? Why won't I use MK-677? Well, guys, MK-677 is a great growth hormone secreting peptide. It's amazing, it works, it's dirt cheap, and yes, it is a substitute to regular HGH or HGH releasing peptides. But there's a big problem with MK-677, and this is why I won't use it personally. The reason that I will not use it is because since MK-677 is almost an exact copy of naturally occurring ghrelin in the stomach, unlike GHRP2, which has been modified. Also, ipamorelin has been modified even more so to not have one of the most detrimental characteristics of natural ghrelin. But since MK-677 has not been modified, MK-677 basically causes fat storage. So I know I ran a little bit in a circle there, but this is what you have to understand. This is the nutshell. Natural ghrelin, again, MK-677 and GHRP6 being the closest to natural production of ghrelin in the human body, okay? So MK-677 and GHRP6, what's the problem? Since they're almost an exact copy to your body's natural ghrelin, this means that, like natural ghrelin, it causes fat storage. Now, some of this offset is, or some of this is offsetted due to the fact that it's releasing HGH, but in studies show, in both MK-677 and also GHRP6, you don't lose, fat loss is almost non-existent, just because when ghrelin levels are high, your body wants to tend to hold on to store body fat because it doesn't want to let it go. So ghrelin, there's a problem. There's a problem with if we use ghrelin, body's natural hormone, there's an issue for using that for growth hormone release. You get all the HGH benefits, you get the muscle gain, you get the IGF increase, you get the HGH increase, but it kind of cancels out, that's the best way to put it. It cancels out the fat loss because ghrelin makes your body want to hold on to fat. It's just a negative side effect, and that's why scientists have moved away from GHRP6. Next in line, they wanted to create a derivative growth hormone releasing peptide to move away from GHRP6, so they invented GHRP2, then they tried hexarelin, huge HGH pulse, and then finally they got it right with ipamorelin. Long, still powerful HGH pulse with ipamorelin. Again, it's based off of the hormone ghrelin, but without any of the sides, such as your body storing more body fat, and also cortisol, prolactin increases. So, guys, in a nutshell, the reason I won't use MK-677 is the same reason I won't use GHRP6, is because the hormone itself is too close to your body's natural ghrelin, and it'll make you store fat. You're not going to get any fatter, obviously, because the HGH is going to be increasing, but the fat gains are, put it this way, if you use MK-677 or GHRP6, growth hormone releasing peptide 6, you're going to get the muscle benefits, the HGH benefits, and the IGF-1 benefits, but your fat loss effect is going to be canceled out because of ghrelin wanting to preserve the ghrelin effect of wanting to preserve body fat. So if you wanted to get the same results, then ipamorelin would be the best bang for buck. Which actually you can get. That's what I'm doing right now. You can get that through Prometheus HRT if you want. If not, I don't care. But I'm just telling you guys how it is. So ipamorelin, otherwise GHRP2, but GHRP2 still has a little bit of that ghrelin body fat storage effect. So it's pretty much ipamorelin, CJC combo, otherwise synthetic HGH if you want the fat loss gains. Guys, that's pretty much it. Seth Spartan, stay safe, stay healthy, do everything right, keep the questions coming, and we are out of here.